Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Chrissy and I am the owner of Sugar and Spice Glitter Co. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I created these really cute resin pens. Let's see if I can get them to focus. So in this video, I'm showing you how I made all 6 of these. As you can see, I tried to do each one a little bit different. I am so excited and I love how these all turned out. Just look at this one over here. Had to make myself a cute little leopard swirl. I'm really excited to show you guys my whole entire process on how I created these pens. These have been super popular lately and I had to create myself some pens. When I posted these, I tell you, they blew up. So if you've been thinking about making these, definitely stick around to watch the tutorial to see how you can create these. Now, I do want to mention that I watched a couple of tutorials myself to kind of get the basis on how to create these. So I found them to be super helpful. I will link those down below in the description. Also had one of my friends, Stephanie, the owner of A Mama's Work, do a live in my Facebook group showing us how she created these pens as well. And that's what's finally gave me the jump to just let's go ahead and do it. So of course I videotaped the whole entire process on how I created these and now I want to share them with you guys. So if you're excited and you want to see how I created these, then keep on watching. So for today's tutorial, I'm using these Papermate Inkjoy gel pens. I purchased this pack of 12 on Amazon. You're also going to need to get yourself some little Ziploc bags and also these wooden dowels. The Ziploc bags is actually going to be where I put the internal pieces of the pens. You want to make sure that you have a set place for it so that none of the stuff gets lost. The wooden dowels are going to go inside of the pen once we remove the internal pieces so that we can attach it onto the turner once we're ready to get it spinning. Everything that I'm using in today's video will be listed in the description down below for you guys to check out. Now, I'm also going to be using this drill master to help me drill down and sand down some of the sharp pieces that are going to be on these pens. But first, I'm going to show you guys how to take apart your pens and also make sure that you have your Ziploc bag next to you because all the internal pieces will be going inside of its own Ziploc bag. First thing you want to do is untwist the bottom part and pull that out. Once that is completely off, you're going to see that there's a little spring as well as the ink cartridge. You want to make sure that you don't lose any of those pieces or else your pen will not work when you're done designing it. So just keep an eye on all the little pieces that's inside of it so that you know how it goes back as well. So I like to keep my little pieces inside of the Ziploc bag, and if I'm working on an order for a customer, then I'll put the name as well as the design of the pen on the Ziploc bag so that I know what piece goes to what pen. Once I've gotten that all out, I'm going to go ahead and remove this little plastic part of the pen. I guess that's where you would normally like put it in your little pocket or whatever. So I'm going to just pull that out. We don't need that and it's not going to damage the pen. But when you pull that off, you will be left with a little sharp nub there. So I'm going to use my drill master to sand that down. You could also use just a regular nail drill if you have one with those little sanding bits, or you can use a regular sandpaper. Having one of these drills isn't entirely necessary, but it makes the job much easier. As you can see, it only takes a couple of seconds to smooth that little piece down. And also there's a little like bubble area on the pen as well. I'm going to show you guys here in a second. Once I've gotten this all smoothed out, I'm going to go ahead and take my drill to that little notch that's there and sand that down, as well as sand down the other part of the pen. It's like a little design area that they have that sticks out a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and sand that part down as well. So once that's done, I'm going to just take my sanding block and go ahead and sand down the entire surface of the pen. And you are going to want to sand down over the rubber part of the pen as well. So yeah, just scuff that up, sand it down, and then we're gonna wipe it off with alcohol. So I'm gonna pretty much be prepping this pen the same exact way I would prep a tumbler. Once I've sanded it down, I am going to wipe it with 91% alcohol to get all that residue off. I'm gonna slide it onto that wooden dowel that I showed you in the beginning of this video. It's gonna fit in pretty snugly. And once I have it on the wooden dowel, we're gonna take it outside and spray paint it. For the purpose of this video, I'm only going to show you guys how I spray painted one of the pens, but I am going to be working on 6 different pens. You're just going to do the same exact thing for all of them, prep and spray paint. Wanted to give you guys a close-up of the spray paints that I used for these pens. So the first color I used was flat black. The second color I'm using is called Candy Pink, and it's a Rust-Oleum spray paint. You can see that on the pen there's a little area that didn't get enough coverage, but it doesn't really matter. I was able to get enough coverage with the glitter where you can't see that patchiness. The third color I use is this really pretty Krylon metallic rose gold, and you can see that actually has flakes of glitter in it. If you wanted to, you could just use glitter spray paint and then resin over that. So here I'm just showing you guys how I'm going to attach it onto my turner. I purchased these little flower foams on Amazon. I'm going to have a link to those down in the description down below, and you can see how I just taped it on with some painter's tape. I'm going to just be sticking that onto my turner just like that, and it's so super easy. You can fit 6 of them on here, which is why I'm doing 6 in this video. And this is what it's going to look like when it's on the turner. So now that we have all of it spray painted and I showed you guys how it's going to look onto the turner, I'm going to just dip my finger in some fast set epoxy and I'm going to spread that all over the base of the pen. Now you don't need a lot of resin for this project, but if you're going to be using chunkier glitter like I'm using on some of these pens, then you do want to have a pretty nice amount of resin on there just to get it to stick on really well. So I'm using this glitter. It's called Maleficent. It is a super, super pretty, chunky, holographic mix. This is going to be available very soon on the website, so keep an eye out for one of our next restocks. We're having a lot of restocks this week and next week, so keep an eye out for all those restocks. We are going to be bringing this one back. Again, the link to everything will be listed down below, and you can find all of these glitters on sugarandspiceglitter.com. The second color I'm going to be using is called Sweet Pea. This one has actually already been listed on the website, so you can find her on the website in the description down below. Again, we're just going to be spreading on that resin and then sprinkling the glitter all over the entire pen. Having the pen attached to the dowel makes it really easy to kind of flatten that glitter down. So as you can see, I'm kind of just rolling it through the glitter that's there on the bottom just to flatten it out. And now we're moving on to the next color that is going to be Jagger. It's a really pretty silver holographic glitter. And I'm putting that over this metallic silver base that I use for this one. I don't believe I showed you guys the exact color spray paint for this, but any silver metallic color will do. And as you can see, I'm just sprinkling that glitter all over the entire base of the pen. And I love this color. It's so sparkly and just so pretty. For this next pen, I spray painted it a dark purple, but I'm going to be going over this with an opal glitter. And the color that we're using is called Head in the Clouds. It is a really pretty opal, you can see. I'm going to sprinkle that all over the entire base of this pen. And yeah, you can see how pretty that looks. I just love using opal glitters over different color bases because it changes the entire look of the opal. Now for this rose gold metallic that I'm using, I'm going over it with one of my favorite glitter colors. It's called Sassy. This is a really pretty chunky, like small chunky mix with golds and opals. It's just really pretty and it's one of my favorite golds to use. I use it very often. You can see I'm going to just flatten that down. So now for this next one, I decided to make it a little bit fancy and go in with a leopard swirl or a gypsy swirl pen. So I spray painted this one the same exact way I would normally spray paint a tumbler when I'm doing this design. And because it's a smaller scale, I'm pouring the glitter into these little medicine cups. So for this one, I'm using Sassy, Turquoise Dreams, and Freddy, which is the purple. I'm going to be sprinkling that all over the entire pen the same exact way I would be doing a regular leopard swirl tumbler. So if you want to see how I do a tumbler like this, then I will have a link to that up here now. You can go ahead and check out after this video is done. I'll also put the link in the description down below if you're interested in seeing a start to finish video on my leopard swirls. First, I'm going to take that gold color Sassy and I'm going to just lightly sprinkle it in a swirl pattern going along with how I spray painted it around the pen. I'm then going to go in with the purple color Freddy and I'm going to sprinkle that again around the entire pen. Again, I'm just gonna lightly sprinkle just to kind of fade those colors and have a base for where I want those glitters to be. I'm not looking for full coverage right now. I'm just kind of sprinkling that glitter on very lightly. And for these pens, because it's such a small surface, you don't want to go too extremely heavy with your glitter anyway. And the finer the glitter color, the better it is. The chunkier ones can give you a little bit of a problem if you don't flatten that glitter down. So now I'm going to go ahead and take that teal color, Turquoise Dreams, sprinkle that on, and I'm just going back and forth between all of the colors to just really give that a nice blend. So for this pen, I'm not going to take all the steps that it takes to do this. I'm pretty much just doing the glitter base, and then I'm going to just resin it and add the spots. But I'm going to be smoothing that glitter down. As you can see there, I just kind of rolled it in between a piece of paper, and that's what we have. I just love how this one turned out. I think it's one of my favorites out of all the pens. I'm going in again and sprinkling more of that teal glitter in there, just kind of getting more blend. And then that's pretty much it. We are going to be sealing this one with a clear gloss spray just to get those glitters to stay put. So this is what it looks like close up when it's completely done. And now that we have all the 6 pens glittered and ready for resin, I'm going to mix up our counterculture fast set resin. I love to use counterculture fast set resin when I'm working on projects that I need to get done really quickly. I'm always kind of on a time crunch, especially since I have a lot of stuff going on with tutorials and orders and things like that. So counterculture fast set works really well if you have to get things done quickly. Now, what I love about this resin is that it is cured to the touch within 2 hours and it's fully cured within 24. So there's absolutely no wait time. You can pretty much go in with your second coat of resin after 1 hour, which is really awesome. So I'm going to just go ahead and spread that over the entire base of the pen. And as you can see, I still do have it on the dowel. Now, what I want to mention about the wooden dowel is that you may want to add some Vaseline to your wooden dowel before putting your pen on and adding your resin, just to kind of have it easier to remove from the wooden dowel if you were to get any resin on the wooden part. Now for this first part, I didn't do that, but I will be showing you later on what I mean about adding Vaseline to your wooden dowels. Now I'm not going to go ahead and show you how I applied resin to all of them because it's pretty much the same, but here you can see how I have it attached to the turner. They're all with their first layer of resin, and you can see just how good that coverage is with the counterculture fast set. I only needed 1 coat of resin for all of these pens. And once that's fully cured, now we are ready to sand them down. So like I mentioned before, I did have a little bit of an issue removing these pens from the wooden dowels. I didn't put any Vaseline on them before putting it on the wooden dowels, but I will show you how I apply the Vaseline to the wooden dowels before putting them on this second time. So if you want to avoid having a hell of a time removing these pens from the wooden dowels, then you're definitely going to want to add some Vaseline to your wooden dowels before adding any resin. So right now I'm sanding down all of the pens. I'm going to just give you guys a quick run through, and it's going to pretty much be the same exact prep that I would do for a tumbler. Again, you want to make sure that you're cleaning off the rims and both ends of your pens so that there isn't any residue on there and there aren't any pokey parts. You want to make sure that you have a nice even smooth surface for your vinyl if you're adding vinyl, or for your second layer of resin. Now your vinyl designs are completely optional, and your designs for these pens are completely optional. For this video, I'm doing a couple of different designs. I'm putting some names on the pens, and I'm also doing some leopard spots. So I did want to make sure that I had a nice even layer for my vinyl designs. I think what's really important to note is that you do just want to make sure that you have a nice, even, smooth surface around the openings of your pen. So that way all of the internal pieces can fit inside and nice and snug, fit back nicely. You don't want it to be sloppy. People are going to be using these pens and holding them with their fingers quite often. So you do want to make sure that you have a really nice smooth surface and there aren't any pokey parts for anyone to deal with. So here I'm just showing you guys how I'm cleaning that off. As you can see, I'm taking some sandpaper and I'm putting that flat on the table while in circular motion sanding the opening of the pen. Well, I'm not trying to like sand down the actual pen part, but just any pokey areas that may be around those openings. For this particular pen, you can see there at the opening that there was some resin that had spilled over. So I'm just taking my little weeding tool and picking that out. You can also just lightly take your cutting tool and trim the edges around also if you needed to. It was pretty easy for me to just pull that out with my weeding tool. And again, I'm just using my sandpaper to pay close attention to the edges of my pen. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to just fast forward through. I'm going to finish up sanding all of the pens, and then we're going to spray the base of the pens off with 91% alcohol. After that, I also am going to be washing them off with soap and warm water, and then we're going to move on to applying our vinyl design. So now it's time to add our vinyl design. First thing you want to do is measure the length of your pen to see how long you need your design to be. Now, because I'm adding a name, I wanted to make sure that I had the exact size that I needed and it wasn't too small or too large. Because of the surface of the pen is small, you don't want to have your name or anything like that be too small, because it would be impossible to weed. Now I'm showing you guys how I'm weeding out my name here, and the font that I'm using is I Love Glitter. As you can see, it's a pretty thin font, so I'm weeding it out and removing the excess vinyl. I decided to do it a different way moving forward just because of how thin it is. So I'm going to show you a quicker way, an easier way when you're working with thin fonts like this, on how to weed it. So pretty much you're going to just doing like a reverse weed. I guess that's what that's called. But right now I'm just taking out the little tiny pieces from my font. I'm going to apply the transfer sheet and then just center that on the pen and smooth that on and remove the transfer sheet. So I did want to add leopard spots to this particular pen. So what I did was I cut an image out from my Cricut Design Space. That these spots are actually available in Cricut Design Space. So if you have that program, then you should be able to find it by searching images and typing in leopard spots. Now what I did was I sized the image to 5x4 so that I can have a few spots on here for a couple of pens. So originally I was trying to weed away the outline of the spots and decided to, like I said before, do it an easier way and make my life a little bit easier. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard trying to weed designs that have little pieces. So I'm going to show you guys how to do like a reverse weed, and I'm going to just cut off that excess that had already began peeling away from the design, and I'm going to cut another 5x4 piece of transfer sheet, and I'm going to smooth that on to the design. So I'm taking that transfer sheet and I'm just applying that over the entire design. I'm going to smooth that out, and then I'm going to flip the image around and I'm going to peel away the transfer sheet from the image. So as you can see, I'm holding on to the outline of the design that I have and allowing that to pull away from the transfer sheet. And so as you can see, the little spots are getting stuck to the transfer sheet, and then the outline is staying on the paper. So hopefully that makes sense. And you can see exactly how I'm doing it, and it just makes it a lot easier. I end up doing it that way for the name as well, because I do put my name on 2 other pens, so you can see how I do that for the name as well. But it makes it a lot easier when you're working with smaller designs that are hard to weed out. So as you can see, I'm kind of doing like a little wrap with the spots, and I'm doing that halfway. I'm going to pull off the transfer sheet, and then I'm going to manually place on some of those spots. So as you can see here, I'm pulling that transfer sheet away from the pen, and then I decide to just go in and apply some of those spots manually by hand. There were a couple of spots that were sticking up, so I'm just gonna put those on my hand and then reposition it to where I feel that they fit best. So that's it for the second pen. Now I'm going to just quickly show you what the rest of the designs look on the other pens. And then once I'm done applying all of the vinyl to the rest of the pens, I am going to spray that off again with 91% alcohol. We're going to go ahead and put that onto the wooden dowels. Now, before we apply the pens to the wooden dowels, I am going to be adding Vaseline to the top portion of the wooden dowels. I feel like this is going to help remove the pens off of the wooden dowels. Like I said before, I had a huge issue removing some of the pens off of the wooden dowels. So this is going to prevent any resin from curing on them because of the Vaseline. So here you can see how I'm just applying it to the wooden dowels. And then once I'm done, we're gonna just slip the pens right on and move on to our final step. So here I'm putting the pens onto the wooden dowels, being really careful not to get any of that Vaseline on the top surface of your pen. Now, of course, before we go in with resin, I am going to wipe them down again. You can never wipe down your pens or your surface of your tumblers too many times. You just want to make sure that you don't have any grease or anything on your pens before you put the resin on, or else you'll have issues with curing. You may get dimples and spots that aren't covered if you have any grease or Vaseline or anything like that on the surface of your pens. So just make sure that you wipe them down really well. As you can see, while I'm wiping it down, I'm sort of twisting the pen to make sure that I have any residue or anything like that off of the pen. So now we're ready to go ahead and apply our final layer of resin. For me, this was my final layer of resin, but if you need to, you can apply another coat on top of this one once it's cured. I'm using Counterculture Artist Resin. This is a really nice thick viscosity resin, so you get a lot of nice full coverage on it. You can see how I am applying the pen to my turner like I showed you guys in the beginning. So yeah, I'm just applying my resin, and we're gonna put these pens on a turner. I'm gonna show you in a minute what it looks like while it's curing. And then that's pretty much it. Once it's cured, we're gonna just apply the pieces of the pens and we're good to go. So here you can see what the pens look like spinning on my turner. I just love how they turned out. We're gonna let that cure for 8 to 10 hours, 8 to 12 hours, or overnight, however long you like to leave your resin to cure for. And then we're gonna jump on forward and apply, put the pieces back all together. So the pens are fully cured. I just pulled them off of the turner right now. You can see the finish is beautiful. So now I'm gonna just pull the pens off of the wooden dowels, and we're gonna put the pieces back together. So this part is really important. You want to make sure that you're putting your pieces back the way they are intended to go back. So the first piece you want to put in is the push top part. So we're going to just go ahead and slide that in. Silver part needs to be facing out. Then you're going to be putting in your ink cartridge with the spring, and then you're going to twist in your bottom part. So yeah, should click down and out really easily, and your pen is complete. So now we're gonna move on and apply the rest of the internal pieces to the rest of the pens, and you're done. I am so happy with how these pens turned out. They have been an absolute hit. If you've been thinking about doing these pens, then I definitely want to encourage you to jump on in and to create some. They're so fun. They're such an easy addition to make in your shop. You can also make them to match tumblers, and they have been a hit since I posted them. So I wanted to share my process with you guys. There are a ton of other tutorials out there that will be super helpful, but I hope you guys really enjoyed my little take on these pens. You enjoyed all of the entire process and how they all turned out. This is definitely only the beginning. I plan on making so much more. I've already gotten orders for these, so yeah, if you haven't tried them out yet, definitely do. I want to thank you guys so much for watching my tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please do me a favor and give this video a big thumbs up so that I know that you love these types of videos. Also, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you can be alerted every time we upload a brand new video. If you want to get social with me, check out the description down below for all the links to my Instagram, Facebook group, TikTok, and more. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.